It has been nearly 9 months since my first Kickstarter campaign was a success. And instead of making about 4,000 euros or 5,000 euros, we made 28,000 euros. So me and JVC Perry were really able to create a big tier 2 adventure small campaign for your table. It is filled with enormously cool artwork, cartography, it has great writing, it has all the 3 pillars of play, there's a lot of role playing potential, there's a lot of combat, there's a lot of exploration, there are magic items, there are new subclasses, there is everything for you to enjoy. We even have a Dungeon Master screen. We have special dreaded dice for the adventure to make the thing complete for your table. And today, it is my pleasure, it is my honor, and it is my privilege to show you a sneak peek into Isle of the Dreaded Accursed. Hi there fellow role players and game masters, my name is Mr. Tarask and this is Isle of the Dreaded Accursed. If you do not know what it is, well, you haven't been on my channel for a while because I've been working on this for the last year, almost last year, together with the great JVC Perry, my favorite writer ever, and it was such a privilege and an honor to work with Joshua. So Joshua, if you're watching this, thanks man for working with me. I think it was an amazing experience and I learned so much. So Isle of the Dreaded Accursed is a tier 2 adventure for 5th edition, and it is way more and way bigger than you might think, because on the cover you see an island and there's probably a ton of stuff going on in that island, and there's a skeletal dragon, or like JVC Perry always says, a skeletal dragon, and there's a ship, so it's more than the island alone, and it is just way bigger than I originally planned it, because I was looking for about 4,000 or 5,000 euros in order to create this adventure, but we made way more, so we were also able to write way more, to have more plot twists, to have more artwork, to have more NPCs, to have more of everything. And it is just my privilege and my honor to show it to you. Oh, it's empty. There's nothing. Oh, that's just kidding. So Isle of the Dreaded Accursed. These are the people that worked on it. The cartography name still needs to be filled in, but these are the people that worked on it. And of course, the backers will all be right here. And then I just want to give a special thanks to the 2 Revenant backers right here, Anthony Glass and Reese Hanlon, for backing us at the highest tier, making them absolutely amazing people, but also they now have an NPC in the story. The NPCs come quite late in the story, like in the 3rd act of the story, and they are optional, but they offer a lot of depth and a lot of cool new potential to the story if you choose to use them as a Dungeon Master, if you choose to use them, if you choose to introduce them, and they're really interesting, but we'll get to that. Now, Isle of the Dreaded Accursed, the reason I wanted to work with JVC Perry, there's 2 reasons actually. The first reason is he's my favorite writer, blah 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 blah. He's a god to me. No, he's just my favorite RPG writer. And the second reason is this adventure actually came to life. It is a nautical adventure, at least part of it is. And it came to life while playing Call from the Deep by Joshua Perry. So I was playing Call from the Deep, one of his bestsellers adventures. Most people will probably know about it, and that's how I stumbled upon this island, and my players went on that island and was making stuff up on the fly, and it spawned into this idea. So the entire idea, the entire storyline, the entire plot, the entire world building, and a ton of the NPCs, the great scope of the thing of Isle of the Dreaded Accursed is by comes from my wicked mind. So it comes from me, and but I'm not an experienced writer, at least not an RPG writer or whatever. So I needed somebody to help me put it into words, and I couldn't be happier with the work Joshua has done. As you can see, by the way, it is about 70 pages long. And as you can see, there is a ton going on. And something that I really wanted to do was have the 3 pillars of play in there. And I kind of separated them in a way because the players start in a village slash town slash city called Mountainfoot. And Mountainfoot is that kind of like village that's not big enough to be a city, but also not small enough to be a village. It's kind of on the verge of becoming a city. So it's called Mountain Foot because it sits at the foot of a mountain, but also on the coast. And this is where the players start. And I wanted to have, like, on one hand, the stereotypical you start in the tavern moment, but I also wanted to have this town to be like where all the intrigue happens, where the plot is, where the players get to know about what's happening, what's going on, and everything. And then there is there's the three pillars of play. First of all, there is role playing, then there's exploration. The players go from Mountain Foot all the way to the Isle of the Dreaded Accursed, and they have to travel there over sea, and they have this entire opportunity to explore the sea. There's shipwrecks they can explore, get magic items from there. There is a whale carcass that spawns zombies, but it also has other stuff. There's a bunch to do on the sea, and then they go to the island, which also has a little bit of exploration, but also has this very cool dungeon filled with traps, puzzles, combats. So it's this role-playing in the city, exploration on the sea, and combat in a dungeon on an island thing that I really wanted to do. So it's a tier 2 adventures going from level 5-ish all the way to level 9-ish, but of course, depending on your players, that could be a little bit different, or depending on you as a dungeon master, that could be a little bit different. If you still want to get your hands on this from the Kickstarter, if you still want to support me, if you still want to buy this in a physical form, you want to get the Dungeon Master screen, that's a very cool Dungeon Master screen, if you still want to get the very cool dice, you want to get some of the extras, we are in the last week of pre-orders, meaning that right now is your chance. Go to the link in the description below. It is now your chance to get your hands on it. Otherwise, we will close it down, and the only way to get it probably will be from like a website buying the PDF, but the physicals, when it's done, probably. We'll see. So as you can see, it also has a section called New Monsters. These are like our monsters. Then there are there's also monsters from the Dreaded Accursed bestiary from Nord Games, because that's why it's called the Isle of the Dreaded Accursed. It is based on the island itself, is based on the Dreaded Accursed bestiary. It uses almost exclusively monsters from that bestiary. The bestiary from Nord Games, a very cool bestiary. So let me just talk about the plot just a little bit. There is this town called Mountain Foot that sits at the foot of a mountain, but also on a coast, and you can place it anywhere. You can place it on the Corsair coast, you can place it in Midgard, on some kind of coast, wherever, your own homebrew world, and all across the coast, and like Mountain Foot is the epicenter of it, but all around the coast there is all kinds of bad stuff going on. I mean, tidal waves, I mean, there are people dying from illnesses, there are boats just being eaten by krakens or sea turtles, there's all kinds of crazy evil stuff going on. And the reason for that is there is an island a few days of sea travel from Mountain Foot that has a cult that worships Alvaroth. Alvaroth is the evil sea goddess, and this cult just lives there and worships Alvaroth. And what people have been doing through the ages is every now and then they send a ship over there and bring sacrifices to that cult, to Alvaroth, in order to keep the seas calm and to have good luck and good fortune, and just to like have like Alvaroth be chill for a few years, please. So they bring all kinds of stuff, but Alvaroth got pissed off for some reason. And in her wrath, she is now unleashing her wrath everywhere on the coast, cities, coast towns, on the open sea, islands, neighboring islands, everywhere. But she also turned her entire cult into all kinds of undead creatures. Like the lower cult members became skeletons and zombies, and the higher became even like, there's like liches, and there's even a skeletal dragon, or like Joshua says, a skeletal dragon. And it is up to the players to go there and to kind of find out what's going on. But before they do that, they need a body part. I'm not gonna say which one, but they need a body part from a freaking kraken. So yes, there is a freaking kraken in here, a kraken fight at level 6. But I wanted to have players to have the opportunity to defeat a kraken, but like the real kraken, the high level dangerous kraken. So what we did is we have like this cinematic skill challenge type of encounter that feels like combat but actually isn't combat. To defeat this kraken, they get the entire fleet from Mountainfoot to close in into the kraken. They're shooting ballistas and trebuchets and mangonels on that kraken, and the players are sailing around with their own ship, and they're trying to help around all across the battle, picking up sea people from the sea and trying to make them fight again, putting out fires every now and then. They get a chance to fire at the kraken, and it's designed in a way that the players actually 9 times out of 10 deliver the final blow to the kraken, making it even cooler because they're level 6 and they get to make the final blow to the kraken. They have their own ship, everything. And so they get this body part from the kraken because they believe, they found it out in Mountainfoot. Somebody helps them with that, and they found out that Alvaroth wants the ultimate sacrifice, which is a certain body part from a kraken. If somebody delivers that to her altar very deep in her dungeon on the island, while trying to survive traps and undead and I don't know, there's more going on, there's a big ass spider, everything. If people survive that and bring the body part to her, then she might calm down a little bit, and she might calm down for the next 100, maybe 1,000 years. That's how gods are, right? They're like, they don't need to make sense in that way. So it is a adventure, and I just want to say, they start out in, I just like this artwork so much. They start out in Mountainfoot, the city of Mountainfoot. There is this inn, a very cool inn boss, a boss of an innkeeper. There's the mayor. There's other NPCs. I will show them in a bit. But it starts out in the first session they had. This big sea spider crawls out of the sea and attacks the harbor of Mountainfoot. And the players at 6th level or 5th level, whatever, they defeat this gigantic, enormous spider. While there's people, the spider is making tidal waves and people are drowning and boats are being split in half, and the players need to hold off that spider, and the archers of Mountainfoot are in the back and they're shooting arrows at the spider, so they kind of get help from the back, but they're the ones holding it back, and they defeat this spider, and that's how they initially become kind of already heroes of Mountainfoot, and they get the chance to get like this quest to go all the way to the Isle of the Dreaded Accursed. So yeah, there is an entire section on Mountainfoot, what it is. There's an inn. There is Duke Heinrich, who is based on yours truly, as you can see from the point right here on my nose and on his nose. Also, my real name is Henrik Hertogs, which means Henrik Duke, or Henrik from Duke. So Duke Heinrich is based on me for some reason. I don't know why I wanted to do that. I just thought it was funny. So it's just a little Easter egg that's in there. He's the Duke. He knows all about like gods and goddesses, and he knows about the lore. And he's the one actually who figures out what the players need to go grab in order to calm down Alvaroth. I really like the artwork, by the way. Danny Pavlov does such an amazing work. Then there is the mayor, Major Mardusk, who is this really fight-ready woman who's always like wearing her leather armor and has a sword on her side or on her back or whatever, and she's like always ready to fight, and she has like this kind of strangeness going on about her. She's always like thinking and plotting, but she's honest. She's ready to defend her village. She's a fighter, and she's also, her house is always very messy for some reason. And then there is Oris the Cook, who is a half-orc with purple skin, with 2 tentacles, coming out of his body so he can support plates of food, so he can bring them to people. That's Oris the cook. And yeah, so there's everything is going on around here. Of course, we also have handouts in the back of the book where we have like the menu for the inn, for the tavern. It's called the Funky Fish Tavern, and it has all kinds of, like, it has a menu that has all kind of thing going on because he's the best fish cook in the world. And so we have those kind of handouts, right? So you can give the handouts to the players and like, here's the menu, what do you want to eat? Just to get them into that world, into that silliness like in the beginning of the world. Of course, all major things in this adventure are mapped out. Like, this is where the fight happens with the sea spider. The Titanic sea spider crawls out of the ocean and just starts hitting the crap out of a harbor. Now, just to give you, if you want to play this on a virtual tabletop, the cool thing is we also have a version of this where everything is completely smacked into smithereens and some parts are even on fire. So but I don't want to show you that. If you watched my if you've read my Kickstarter updates, you will have seen them. But I just think it's great that we have two versions of it, so we can click and your players are like, oh shit, the spider's strong. She just killed a freaking boat. Like this boat, for example. Is just going to be completely destroyed and everything. Then there is the Kraken fight, and this is I don't really want to spoil this, but it is what it is. It is an entire fleet, by the way, under the command of Admiral Greysail, an entire fleet who goes and defeat a Kraken. A lot of people die, a lot of ships sink, and the players actually manage to retrieve a body part from the Kraken. Now, this is very important. This is a very important moment. It is built to be difficult but manageable. It is also built to, if the players fail, the adventure ends there. I know that sounds silly, but this is like the Titanic sea spider is very strong, right? I have to scroll up for that. The Titanic sea spider is very, very, very strong, but it is more built as an introduction. Like, hey, this is going on. It's bad. But the Kraken is really there to show the players the scope of the situation. Like, it is bigger than themselves. They need an entire fleet. They need to help out that fleet in the battle. They are sailing around while lightning is hitting other ships than their ship, and there's tidal waves coming in, and they're shooting their cannons, and they're reviving dead sailors, and everything is just complete chaos. It is bigger than themselves, and I believe the players really need to feel that. So that is why we designed it to be hard, but manageable. I mean, if you're as a dungeon master, you can like do certain things in order to make it manageable, of course. And then there is, if they manage it, they go back to Mountain Foot, have a little party. It says here, final party. And they travel to the island, and then there is like the travel to the island. So it's an entire section, travel to the island. And as you can see, there are ghost ships, skeletal dragon, stranded sailors, undead shark, whale carcass, and a whirlpool. These are random encounters. Of course, you can add encounters for yourself from any book that has sea encounters, but this is just encounters we've written especially for that. There are new magic items right here. For your players to find from some of these encounters. And these magic items are all designed to make the adventure and to make the dungeon crawl in part 3 easier for the players. For example, there is a magic item called Invisible Light, which is basically the light spell on an item, but it is invisible from a certain distance. So you can walk through a dungeon with light, but people from a certain distance don't see that light. So it's those kinds of magic items that can really, really help out. And then it's a sneak peek, so I don't want to show you everything, right? So I am showing you everything. If you like hit pause every second, you can basically read the entire adventure. I don't know. So Isle of the Dreaded Accursed, which is the island itself, and right here is there's like some more exploring. But this is where the Dreaded Accursed bestiary, which I have somewhere, can't find it for now. Right, the Dreaded Accursed bestiary comes in. And from here on, almost all creatures are from the Dreaded Accursed bestiary by Nord Games. Now, it is standalone. We have all the creatures used in this adventure in the appendix in the back. So don't worry about that. It is you can still play it even if you do not own that particular monster book. But I suggest you do own that particular monster book, because it's always easier to have like what is going on in the adventure and what monster am I using in 2 different books, because otherwise you're flipping through the book. Yeah, there is all kinds of stuff here. Exploration. And by the way, these are the 2 NPCs, optional NPCs the players can encounter to help them or be against them or whatever, created by the top tier backers, Anthony Klaas and Reese Hanlon, and they worked with us in order to create this. So we created this together with them. We created the artwork for them. I just think it's really cool. And so they have their own thing. They have their name right here. And I couldn't be more grateful for those people to do that. Of course, this is, they go into a temple. There is a map of that temple. There's a puzzle they need to solve in order to reach Breakwave Dungeon. And this is where the classical dungeon crawl comes in. It is completely mapped out. It is a dungeon crawl like you know it, like you love it, and I really hope you're gonna love it. It has, to my opinion, it has everything a dungeon crawl needs. It has traps, it has puzzles, it has monsters, it has a enormous plot twists you won't see coming as a player. Well, at least if your dungeon master is good enough, you won't see it coming as a player. And the story just changes around within this dungeon, which is really cool. And the players are carrying this body part around in order to go and put it on the altar, which is right here. Oh, sorry, it's right here. In order to put it on the altar right here, but they enter the dungeon somewhere around here, and they need to go through the entire dungeon, find their way in order to go there. And it actually has a very big puzzle created by none other than Wally DM. From, I'm not prepared for this, it is Wally DM's Journal of Puzzle Encounters. He's a very cool YouTuber who just YouTubes about RPG puzzles. He creates videos on how to run them and everything, and he's just one of my favorite YouTubers for getting riddles and puzzles. He created a book with his with a lot of his puzzles, but he created a puzzle room especially for this adventure. It was one of the stretch goals. We got it because we raised a lot of money, and boom, there it is. This is the dungeon, Breakwave Dungeon, and I'm not going too deep into that, but Breakwave Dungeon kind of ends in somebody carrying around a body part, want to put it on an altar, but there's a skeletal dragon right there in the way. So that's basically what it does. It looks absolutely epic. It is such a cool thing. And then there is the appendix. Another stretch goal was to have kind of like a side quest, and we reached that stretch goal. So there is even a side quest to this. So if your players do this side quest, they will be a level higher when reaching Breakwave Dungeon, so it becomes a little easier for them to clear that. So the Dwarves of Mitra are basically, it is a side quest but it is hidden. It is a hidden side quest. You, as a dungeon master, you of course know where it is, but to unlock it as a player, you have to ask the right questions to the right people. It involves the mayor, and if you ask the right questions, it might unlock this hidden side quest. This is hidden. I just like that. Just give me like this video game vibe. Like, hey, did you know that there's a side quest right there? If you ask that question, then it becomes available. I don't know, just me having fun with it, right? So it is. That's that. There is a side quest. Will take like probably one session or something like that, but it's a small side quest. It is in there, and then there's player options. There's new player races. There. There's all kinds of stuff. Class options. Water domain cleric. Joshua came up with this, by the way. Circle of the Sea druid. There's character templates. There's how to become a revenant, but this is like stuff from the Dreaded Accursed bestiary. This isn't. This is like new stuff from us, but this is stuff from the Dreaded Accursed bestiary. And then there are the monsters, and as you can see, we've used a ton of there's still not finished here, but we used a ton of art from the Dreaded Accursed bestiary, and we used a lot of monsters from the Dreaded Accursed bestiary. So other than that, I just need to finish this off to release it next week. But this was a preview of Isle of the Dreaded Accursed. All of the backers that already backed, and all of the people that already have pre-ordered, and all of you who are now going over to the link in the description below in order to pre-order it, to support me as a YouTuber, to support Joshua as a writer, I am so extremely grateful. And until next video, bye bye.